Alright guys, so it's a late night. It's 10:30. I'm recording this on October 11th. And I thought this was going to be a bit of a celebration for the intro because I was watching the Sharks game, Ducks versus Sharks, and I was kind of excited because it would be an opportunity for revenge. Because last time we played them, I don't even remember how long it was ago, but I'm gonna say like 6, 7 months ago, maybe. I was actually there in person at the Honda Center. It was a really awesome game, and they beat us in shootouts, unfortunately. So it was a close game then, and I really thought we were gonna win, and I was really hyped. And I was actually trying to watch on NHL radio for the first time, which I actually really enjoyed, surprisingly. I'm going to do that again. But yeah, they beat us again. Freaking Leo Carlsson scored the winning goal, and I'm going to put a photo on the screen now of when I actually met Leo Carlsson. I'm going to block off my face because I look freaking fat in this photo. But I met Leo Carlsson at a PGA store, which is a golf store. He was a nice guy. He was freaking tall, so I look like a midget. But yeah, it's freaking sad. I was so hyped that it was gonna be revenge, and then it just all fell apart. So that was sad. But anyway, we got a good video here. And normally I would do like a proper scripted video for something like this, like a Roller Coaster in the Clouds video, which is a series I do of like scripted videos. But frankly, I'm way too depressed to write out a script. So what I'm doing instead is, as you can see on my screen here, I got this thing. I've compiled some clips that I want to talk about. We're going to watch them together, and then I'm going to talk about them off the cuff. But I generally know what I'm going to say, so hopefully it's good. And I also would like to ask you to please don't skip the clips. I know it might be hard, although I think you have a better attention span than I do. But just watch them because it's the only way you're really gonna like get what I'm saying on a better level. And I'm already like cutting it out quite a bit. So the premise of this video I want to talk about is the fact that the ending of the Half-Blood Prince is like a perfect film for me. And I like consider it a masterpiece. The ending of that film, like the last 35 minutes, I think is really perfect filmmaking in every way. And it's just like everything you want in terms of payoffs of arcs, emotion, sort of cool, innovative directing, great acting, everything. And yeah, so let's go into the first clip. But hold on, I'm noticing a bit of a problem. I'm gonna actually get a headset, I think, because I'm not gonna be able to hear. Let me pause the video and I'll be right back. Okay, I've thought of a way to do this so it doesn't mess up the audio, because I think if I turn my volume up on my computer, it's gonna mess up the microphone. So what I'm gonna do is mute my microphone, and if it's still screwed up, I'll just edit it in post, but it should work. So I'm gonna go on mute for a second.
Have you ever considered that you ask too much, that you take too much for granted? Has it ever crossed your brilliant mind that I don't want to do this anymore?
Whether it has or hasn't is irrelevant. I will not negotiate with you, Cerberus. You agreed. Nothing more to discuss.
Alright, guys. I apologize. That was so low resolution. I promise most of the other ones are pretty good, although they're not all perfect. So, excuse that, but yeah. Okay, so in that scene, we saw basically. I really like this scene because here's why I think this whole ending part is a masterpiece. The whole film is based on this sort of tension between, do we trust Dumbledore's judgment or not? And we're constantly debating whether or not Snape is a turncoat and he's going to betray Dumbledore and the cause. And in this scene, right before they leave for the cave, Snape and Dumbledore are talking. And it looks like, okay, no, everything is good. Snape is sort of still in it with Dumbledore. Dumbledore is telling him he has an assignment, he has to do it, and it looks fine. Like, it sort of reassures you that no, Dumbledore's judgment is correct. They're still, like, in contact. Snape is not really pulling anything. And like I said, the whole film is being built up to this point with the unbreakable vow, to help Draco complete his task, all this stuff covering for him, etc., etc. So, all this. But then at the same time, what I love about the end of this movie is you have two parallel arcs kind of going for Snape. You have the broader arc, the more general arc of Snape that happens over a multi-film period, which is basically him always being accused / assumed to be evil and whatever, disloyal to Dumbledore, or not disloyal, but hateful of Harry. And yet he always comes through in the end. He always has somewhat of a redemption. Like in the first movie, you think he's evil, he's the guy that's the villain, but it turns out, oh no, he's saving Harry, etc., etc. It just keeps building and building. And then you have the more specific arc in this film with the unbreakable vow, and you're always thinking, like, is he gonna betray Dumbledore, or is he not? And this scene really sets it up well, where it seems that no, Dumbledore's judgment is correct, trust Dumbledore. So let's go to the next scene, and this is basically a bit of a longer scene, but it's a really beautiful scene, and I'll talk about why. And this is basically the moment Harry has with Dumbledore before he goes into the cave, and it's a really, really great sort of breather moment. I made it a little longer because of how beautiful the song is.
Oh, Harry. You need a shave, my friend. You know, at times, I forget how much you've grown. At times, I still see the small boy from the cupboard. Forgive my mawkishness, Harry. I'm an old man.
You still look the same to me, sir.
Just like your mother, you're unfailingly kind. A trait people never fail to undervalue, I'm afraid. The place to which we journey tonight is extremely dangerous. I promised you could accompany me, and I stand by that promise. But there is one condition. You must obey every command I give you without question.
Yes, sir.
You do understand what I'm saying? Should I tell you to hide, you hide. Should I tell you to run, you run. Should I tell you to abandon me and save yourself, you must do so. Your word, Harry.
My word.
Take my oath.
So I thought you couldn't operate within Hogwarts?
Well, being me has its privileges.
Okay, so we saw that scene, which I think is really great for a lot of reasons. Number one, you have this like really amazing built up soundtrack in the background that's like very gradual, and then it sort of crescendos into this fantastic grand theme with all the waves crashing around. But then I really love this scene because it's kind of like it basically is the last moment that Harry has with this sort of fatherly figure, grandfatherly figure, Dumbledore, and Dumbledore like expresses to Harry that, you know, he's watched him grow from a small child into a young man, and he expresses his, you know, his care for him. And Harry like comes back with like, you still look the same to me. Like it's sort of like this beautiful final moment, kind of almost between like a father and a son. You know, after all these years, Dumbledore has always taken care of Harry, and they have sort of this final moment. And compared to some of their other scenes where it was a bit tense, like in the fifth movie where Harry was sort of losing his mind because Voldemort was kind of possessing him, and Dumbledore was kind of giving him the cold shoulder because he didn't want to tempt Voldemort even more to attack Harry's brain. So there was like some tension there, but in this film, it's like the total opposite, where Dumbledore really like shows more like caring and love, and it's a really nice thing because they're going into like hell. So in this last scene, I cut it a lot because it's long. But basically, suffice to say, to get the Horcrux, Dumbledore has to drink this poison, and after he drinks the poison, he asks for water, and that's when Harry is thrown in the water, and we'll see that scene now.
I promise. Please.
So that scene, leading up to it, which I didn't show, is a very tense, extremely tense scene where they're drinking the poison and going across the lake, or the cave, underground lake, I should say. And that scene where Harry is driven into the water is really fantastic. And what I love about it, not only the visuals, where the whole scene is almost in black and white, it's so kind of gray, but then like all of a sudden there's this burst of color with Dumbledore and the flames, and it's sort of one last time you get to see like the beauty and the strength of his character, where he really is like the greatest wizard, and he shows his power in that moment, and it's a very heroic end. And I also kind of like it's almost like the parting of the Red Sea with the fire. It's kind of like, I don't know why it seems like mosaic, as in mosaic meaning related to Moses. It kind of felt like that scene. And yeah, So overall, just a fantastic scene visually, tension-wise, and it's just really. I love the visual of his head popping out of the water with the fire behind him, like the fire on the water, which reminds me of I don't know what it's called, but I think it's like Greek fire or Byzantine fire, like it's fire that can burn on water from the ancient world. I think it was maybe used by the Spartans or the Greeks. I don't honestly know too much about the ancient world, but I heard about this and it just looks really cool. It's sort of like paradox. And yeah, okay, so now we're getting into like the scene, and I've cut it up because it's so long, unfortunately, but a really excellent, perfect scene on the astronomy tower. And in this scene, they apparate back to the astronomy tower. Dumbledore is very weak because he drank all this poison and, he's expended. And he asks immediately for Severus. So it's sort of this whole arc that's been building. This nervousness around Snape, where he's made this unbreakable vow. He's been helping Draco. Now you see if he really is loyal or not. So let's see.
Severus. Severus is who I need. Wake him. Tell him what happened. Speak to no one else. Draco. Years ago, I knew a boy who made all the wrong choices. Please let me help you.
I don't want your help. Don't you understand? I have to do this. I have to kill you. He's gonna kill me.
Look what we have here.
Go on, Draco. No!
No.
Severus. Please.
Avada Kedavra.
So I think that anybody that watches these movies will always, get a tear from the death of Dumbledore. It's just a really fantastic scene, but let's start with Draco. And I cut out a lot of it, but I really like that scene. It's almost like another like fatherly scene towards Draco, who's this kid who's basically being forced to do something that is not really in his character. Like he's always been like a bully, and he's not a very nice person, but he's not like an evil person. Like he's not a murderer or anything like that. And he's in a really difficult position because they're gonna kill him if he doesn't do what he has been told to do. And in this moment, like Dumbledore sort of tells him, like, I've known you for so long. I've known you for so long, and you're not an assassin. I think I cut that part out, but he says, like, you're not an assassin. He says, like, I knew a boy that made all the wrong choices. Please let me help you. So it's another, like, fatherly scene, and also kind of like a teacher, which Dumbledore is a teacher, a professor. Headmaster, obviously in his older age, but he started as a professor. And it's this amazing scene, and then, of course, this movie is Snape's movie, really. And Snape arrives, and it's sort of like Julius Caesar crossing into what is the river called? I'm such an idiot. There's a metaphor. It's like when Caesar crossed this certain river in Italy, and he went and took the city of Rome. It's like the conquering general comes in, and it's like all eyes are on him. And yeah, Snape comes in, and like everybody stops. You know, Bellatrix Lestrange stops because she made the unbreakable vow. So now you're gonna see, is the man a liar or not? Draco stops because he was lowering his wand. He wasn't gonna do it. Snape's here. And then Dumbledore stops and he says, "Severus, please." Which, if you watch the last two films and you rewatch this, you know, it's one of the most beautiful lines in the whole series because it has double meaning. When you first watch it, you think he's begging for his life. He's saying, like, "Severus, please don't kill me." Because in that moment, you think that, oh, Dumbledore knows that he's been betrayed. But as you find out, Dumbledore is actually saying, "Please kill me. Like, hold up your end of the bargain," which is talked about in Deathly Hallows, which I won't get into too much. But it's this beautiful double meaning. And then it's the gorgeous scene where he says Avada Kedavra, the green light, and then the slow motion death of Dumbledore as he falls from the tower. Harry, you know, shocked. And then this scene is another amazing scene that I've had to cut a bit, but basically the Death Eaters rampage through the castle. Bellatrix Lestrange, you know, is rampaging through the Great Hall, kicking all the cups around. She's going crazy. It's like triumphant. Snape is like stone-faced, no emotion. So let's see the next scene where it's the final confrontation with Snape.
Snape! He trusted you!
Ron!
Think of Fight back! You coward, fight back!
No! He belongs to the Dark Lord.
Sectum Sempra!
You dare use my own spells against me, Potter? Yes. I'm the Half-Blood Prince.
So another visually fantastic scene with really fantastic reveals and character payoffs. As you know, if you watch the movie, Half-Blood Prince was this mystery man in Harry's potions textbook, and he had like written a bunch of notes in, and Sectum Sempra was one of his spells, and in this moment Snape reveals himself as the Half-Blood Prince, so we get that, which is kind of like the punchline of the movie. It's this guy that has been helping Harry through the journey, like being the best in his potions class, getting liquid luck, being able to get the memory out of Slughorn. If you haven't watched the movie in a while, these things may be a bit fuzzy, but yeah, so he's this guy that helps him, but you know he's sort of dangerous because of that spell Sectum Sempra that Harry uses on Malfoy and gets a lot of blood out of him, almost kills him. But then in this scene, it's like the punchline of the whole movie. I'm the Half-Blood Prince. You dare use my spells against me, Potter. And if you know anything about the author, J.K. Rowling, she's really into mystery. All her movies / books, like, all have an element of mystery and, like, riddles and stuff. And, yeah, it's just really great. And it's just a fantastic ending scene to a very, like, sad betrayal, or supposed betrayal. I love the line where he's like, "Fight back, you coward. He trusted you." It's so tragic. There is nothing worse than betrayal. It really is the worst thing in the world. And, yeah, so at this point, the movie basically ends with one of two scenes, but I'm only going to end with this scene, which is the somber memorial for Dumbledore. So yeah, I thought a very beautiful scene with the music and all that, and it sort of speaks for itself. But in my opinion, and I say this strongly, I rate the last 35 minutes of this film a 9.7 out of 10, which is like a masterpiece. It's beautiful. It works like so powerfully as a story visually, and just really paying off like two sort of tracks of arcs, like this sort of larger arc with Snape over multiple films, where you sort of always assume he's a villain, but he always sort of proves he's not. And then this sort of simpler arc where you know that he's made an unbreakable vow, yet you're supposed to trust Dumbledore, and it seems that he's still loyal to Dumbledore. And then there's even another arc that is not even perceived when you watch the movie for the first time, but when you watch the Deathly Hallows, you understand that, like, no, this is just Snape being like the real hero of Harry Potter. Being this man who, I put out a tweet where I thought I said it nicely. Let me read what I said. I apologize that I don't have this on the... Okay, I said he's one of the great characters of literature / cinema, a man who did his duty to the end and died foregoing glory or honor. So, yeah, there's this other arc that's not even perceived at this time, where he's just like fulfilling his duty and his sort of oath to Dumbledore when he swore to, like, destroy Voldemort because of what Voldemort did to Lily when he murdered her. And he's sort of doing something that's very difficult, where he's committing great crimes but for a good purpose. And he's forced to be around people he hates, and he's forced to humiliate himself. He's forced to destroy his honor in the eyes of everybody he knows. He's supposed to, like, you know, not object to all this evil that he objects to, but he does it because it's his duty. He's really one of the fantastic male characters that is really... It's a man of honor, deep honor, and no need for glory or thanks, just a real hero. And yeah. We gotta say, like, you can't you can't not talk about Alan Rickman, who's one of the most fantastic actors ever, I think. And just watching these movies again has made me want to watch Die Hard, which is a movie I absolutely love. And he's also just fantastic in that. But yeah, Alan Rickman is great in this. And I think I'll just close up. I'll say that watch this movie again. This movie was actually the movie I watched for my 18th birthday with my friend. Shelley, if you understand. And I was very excited to see it. And I would say that this movie is a great film. Its pitfalls is that the beginning of the film cuts out a lot of stuff from the book that, in my opinion, would have made this even better, which being the hunting for the Horcruxes with Dumbledore that the film cuts out. But the actual end of the film, I think, is an absolute masterpiece, and I really, really like it. And I thought I'd make a video saying how much I like it, because when I like something, I like it, and I wanted to tell everybody how much I love it. And yeah, so I started talking about the Sharks game. It was a sad loss, but we can all rejoice that Sussy Boy has made another good video. And yeah, that's been me. Sussy Boy out.